because there was not enough college football out there this weekend, I watched Wisconsin versus Miami again. It left me impressed with some things. It left me depressed about others. And we're giving away some tickets to this weekend's game inside Camp Randall Stadium when the Wisconsin Badgers take on the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders. If you want to get in on this giveaway, well, we're going to talk about that next year on Talkin Badgers. Yes, it is Talkin Badgers, powered by BadgerNotes.com. I'm your host, Kedrick Stumbers. You can find me on all the social medias, Blue Sky, and the website formerly known as Twitter at Kedrick Stumbers. You can follow the podcast, something you're going to want to do if you want to win some tickets to this weekend's game, at Talkin Badgers on the website formerly known as Twitter. And yes, today we are talking about what I noticed when rewatching Wisconsin taking on Miami. But first, I want to let you all in on our big announcement for today, to thank you all for what has been a really tremendous first month of doing this basically every day and helping us reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. We're giving back to you, the fans, who do not get enough back in college football these days. So we're taking it on ourselves here at Talkin Badgers and at BadgerNotes.com. Thankfully, we got a pair of tickets, a pair of lower bowl tickets inside Camp Randall Stadium to give away to you this weekend. Now, there's two ways that you can enter this. First is here on YouTube. What I'm going to need you to do is you need to subscribe. No, about 2/3 of you watching our videos aren't subscribed. We got to fix that. You need to subscribe here to Talkin Badgers, and then we need you to like this video right here. This video you're watching right now, hit that like button, and then comment below. What is your favorite game day tradition? Your favorite college game day tradition in Madison? Let me know. Let me know those three things. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like this video, and comment on this video your favorite game day tradition. That's one way to enter. And you can get a bonus entry by following us on Twitter. Head over to twitter.com/Talkin Badgers. There, you're going to find our pinned tweet. The pinned tweet, retweet that, like that. Make sure you are following and tag the friend that you want to bring to this game in the replies of that tweet. Again, enter here, subscribe, youtube.com/@Talkin Badgers. Like this video, comment your favorite game day tradition, and then get your bonus entry by heading to x.com/Talkin Badgers. Like, retweet the pinned tweet, and then reply with a tag of who you are going to bring to the game when Wisconsin takes on the Middle Tennessee State Blue Raiders this weekend. All right. Before we get all the way there. Oh, by the way, we will announce the winner to that in an episode that will be released Thursday morning. Make sure you stay attuned to the Twitter, to the YouTube channel. That way you can reply and we'll get your email and we'll get you those tickets and send you on your way. Got to do that quick. If you don't reply within 24 hours, if we get to Friday morning and we don't know if you're going to be able to make the game, we got to move on and pick another winner. So tight turnaround. By Thursday morning, get your entries in. All right. Rewatching Wisconsin, Miami. Because I didn't really care about watching Miami, Notre Dame all that closely last night. I was rewatching Wisconsin, Miami. And I noticed a few things that were hard to gather in the moment as we were dealing with the Billy Edwards Jr. of it all, as we were gawking over the defense of it all. One guy who was on display on Monday night, or on Thursday night rather, in maybe a bigger spot than anybody else, was offensive coordinator Jeff Grimes. Yeah, that was the big talking point going in, but it pretty quickly became, oh, well, what does the offense look like under Danny O'Neil instead of Billy Edwards Jr.? We barely know what the offense looks like under Billy Edwards Jr. to begin with. Wisconsin needed this. Wisconsin needed Jeff Grimes to come in and be really impressive. In 2023, the first year of Longo, Wisconsin finished 93rd in total scoring offense. That was Wisconsin's worst finish in scoring offense since 2004. They moved backwards in 2024 all the way down to 109, the only time since at least 1995. I couldn't go back further than that. I ran out of clicks. Since at least 1995, that was Wisconsin's worst finish, and the first time in that time frame Wisconsin had ever finished sub 100. So Wisconsin needed Jeff Grimes to come in and not light the world on fire, but it needed the offense to show competence and confidence. Needed to instill confidence in the rest of that football team. I thought it did so for the most part. I thought it did so, and I thought the play calling in particular did inspire a lot of confidence going forward. It felt a lot less disjointed, and on the rewatch, it really did confirm the Jeff Grimes offensive scheme really does insert a lot of plays that then build on one another. The clearest example of this was on the Danny O'Neal scamper for 17 yards in the third quarter, which was Wisconsin's longest rushing play of the day. That was set up by a first quarter run by Trech Kekahuna. That was a Trech Kekahuna jet sweep. He carries the ball, gets 7 yards. Okay. That's pretty good on its own. But what it also did is allowed Wisconsin to set up a designed run on 3rd and 9. A designed run on 3rd and 9 that went for 17 yards. That being Wisconsin's first touchdown drive of the game of the season. It was Trech Kekahuna coming in the same jet motion. And I think it was probably a read option by Danny O'Neal, who at least, puts the ball in the cookie basket of Trech Kekahuna, pulls it back as the edge defends Kekahuna, and Danny O'Neal takes off running up the gut. A ballsy play for your ballsy quarterback, your quarterback with a lot of swagger. And it worked out. I thought that was emblematic of how the offensive scheme builds on to itself play after play and presumably game after game. But also the moment in which it was clear Luke Fickell has some confidence in this offensive scheme as well was the fact that when Danny O'Neal comes in on a 3rd down for an injured Billy Edwards Jr. in the middle of the drive, 3rd down, they throw the ball right away. And then they go for it on 4th down right away. And the play breaks down a little bit, and Danny O'Neal scampers forward for a 1st down. What a way to build confidence in your backup quarterback, which, to be fair, as we all know, Danny O'Neal, not short of confidence, short of height, perhaps, but not of confidence. And those two things combined really did put Jeff Grimes on display in a positive manner. And that was really refreshing. Another way I thought the Jeff Grimes offense looked good. Another way I thought Jeff Grimes did himself some favors, instilling some confidence in the offense, was in a way that he covered up perhaps the weakest part of the offense. And that was the other thing. The next thing I noticed that I want to talk about, that being the performance of one Davis Heinzen at left tackle. I know we talked about this on the Instant Reaction show. I know this has been talked about through the weekend. Most of the time, when you watch a game and there's a lot going on, you got a Billy Edwards Jr. injury, you're being a little reactive in real time to what you're seeing. And most of the time, the bad things aren't as bad as you initially think they are when you go back and rewatch. The Davis Heinzen of it all was worse when I went back and watched it again. It was worse because Pro Football Focus credited Davis Heinzen, or credited whatever the opposite of credit is, assessed 5 pressures to Davis Heinzen, had marked Davis Heinzen as allowing 5 pressures. I think you could count 5 pressures against Davis Heinzen before Danny O'Neil steps in for his first full drive of the game. I'm not saying I would go all the way there, but I think a reasonable person could watch the tape and make that argument. It was not great. And Danny O'Neil was sacked 3 times, Billy Edwards none. If it weren't for the offense bringing in running backs to help Davis Heinzen on that left side, because what surprised me while I was watching the game was that there were fewer tight ends lined up to help Davis Heinzen chip on that side of the line. That surprised me. When I went back and watched many of those passing downs, he gets help on the left side from the running backs, from Dylan Jones, from Cade Yakimelli, from Darian Dupree. Darian Dupree, who had like one really great like pass blocking rep and one pass blocking rep that led to a sack that was kind of attributed to him because he failed to pick up the blitz where he gets caught a little bit flat-footed, but also Davis Heinzen kind of got beat on that snap. So little column A, little column B. On the play where Danny O'Neil gets intercepted in the end zone, Davis Heinzen gets beat really bad on that play too. It did not cause the interception. But there's just plays here and there. They're like, wow, this is rough. There's a play that's an incompletion to Cade Yakimelli, where Yakimelli picks up a block first and then tries to catch the ball. I think the ball is probably a little off target regardless, but you wonder just what the timing of it all was. It was not spectacular. Big credit to Jeff Grimes, big credit to the offense for bringing in the running backs to help out on that side. Because, wow, it could have been a lot worse. It really could have. Davis Heinzen was not the only offensive lineman who struggled, by the way, in that game. Emerson Mandel, redshirt freshman, starting at right guard. Growing pains, to be sure. Young guy, by far the youngest guy on that line, by far the least experienced guy on that line. He struggled. Particularly, he struggled when trying to pull on these pulling blocks. And there was a moment where he and Jake Renfro run into each other pulling. Ugh. Danny O'Neil gets sacked on that play too. It was not a spectacular performance by Emerson Mandel. And I think it's probably more excusable because I think that's something that gets fixed by like mental reps. You need to just be more engrossed in the offense. That's the more technical aspect that probably he has not been asked to do as much before. It's also some moving inside of the line where you're going to be asked to do more pulling compared to before when he was outside at tackle more often. The Davis Heinzen is more concerning to me because, one, I think there's more interior depth on this team if you want to make a replacement than there is depth at tackle. And two, there were fewer plays where I felt like Emerson Mandel just got beat straight up physically. Davis Heinzen got beat physically, was slow off the block, was slow into his guy. And that guy, it was not that guy, Adam Trick, the defensive end for Miami, had a career day against a Big Ten team. Adam Trick had 3 collegiate starts coming into Thursday night, rather. And then he tied his career high of 6 total tackles, so that a new career high of 5 solo and a new career high with 2 sacks. And like his previous career high of 6 tackles was against UMass. It's not great for Heinzen, because if the question is, can he compete against Big Ten talent? Well, the numbers coming in for his time at Western Michigan against MAC talent, well, were not that impressive. And what he put on tape against another MAC team, for all the, you got to get used to playing at this level. This was the level that Davis Heinzen should be used to playing against. The same conference that he just came from. He didn't look used to anything. He got out-athleted by Adam Trick. Not great. Another positive I noticed on the rewatch, before we get to maybe the most fun positive, which, by the way, is the defensive line, which I thought was even more impressive on a second watch. The defensive backs for Wisconsin, I think they live up to the hype. I think they do. It's, of course, Preston Zachman, who was named the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week just a few hours ago. It's, of course, Ricardo Hallman, who I thought excelled. And who knows what happens if they get Nazir Fortgreen on the opposite corner side. I'm thinking maybe we get some news on that tomorrow, Tuesday the 2nd. Maybe. Pure speculation. But these young fellas, Emilio Agard in particular, I thought they looked really good for a cornerback group that has more redshirt freshmen and true freshmen in the two deep than it has veterans. A play by Emilio Agard in particular stood out to me on a rewatch in the second half. The guy who ends up being Miami's leading receiver in the game, Cole Weaver, has the ball delivered to him by Daquan Finn. Pretty much right on the money. It's 3rd and 5. He should be able to turn up field and get a first down and extend the drive. Or 2nd and 5, rather. But regardless, extend the drive. Instead, Agard, 5'11", 185 pounds, runs in, blows up the play. Takes the body to him. And that leads to a 3rd down afterwards that ends in a sack and ends the drive. It was an impressive day for the defensive backs when they were asked to make plays, which, to be clear, was not all that often because of the chaos caused by the defensive front. Which was why, I didn't get great eyes on the defensive backs the whole night. Obviously, Preston Zachman stood out. He was ball hawking all night. It was just obvious. At some point, he was going to pick off Daquan Finn. It just happened to be twice in the fourth quarter. But the other guys who I may not have noticed as much the first time around, I thought were really impressive. And then the defensive line, which, even on a rewatch, even during a watch where intentionally I'm trying to pick up on things I may have missed the first time, the defensive line really stood out to me. It really did. I thought Wisconsin's front seven was spectacular in this game, and it did blow away my expectations for what we had seen over the past 12 months from this group. It, of course, comes with a caveat that this Miami offensive line is not very good. And I do not think Middle Tennessee is going to be much of a test either. Whether or not this defensive front for Wisconsin can stand up against greater opponents is something that is going to take a little bit, at least a couple of weeks, for us to find out. But this was not something Wisconsin even did last year against lesser opponents. The defensive front generated 3 sacks on Thursday. That tied the single game high that Wisconsin had all of last season. And I think it was in 2 instances, and one of them was against South Dakota, an FCS school. All 3 of Wisconsin's sacks came on plays where it's not that they dialed up some exotic blitz packages. It's not that they sent the house at Taquan Finn and said, okay, make the throw. It was, we're going to break 4. Your receivers can't get open. We can beat you with 4. And that's what they did. The only exception to that, basically, was Christian Allegro gets a sack in the third quarter. And the only reason he ends up with the sack is because Wisconsin brings 4, forces Finn out of the pocket, and Christian Allegro is waiting on a spy and just takes a textbook angle to the quarterback and brings him down. Finn's rolling out, and in I don't know how many other instances ends up with a big play in that game. Big play on the ground for a guy who can move, but it doesn't matter because Christian Allegro just moves better. Rushing Taquan Finn had 36 yards and then lost another 23 through sacks. So not an impressive day. I thought this was a solid win for Wisconsin. And on balance, after the first watch, after the second watch, I probably come away about even in my second watch around compared to the first about how I thought about this team. Right? I don't think I moved too much in either direction after the rewatch compared to where I ended up on Thursday night about this team. But on Thursday night, I came out probably a little bit higher on Wisconsin than I did going into the week. And I think that's about where I am still. I thought that this was a team that outplayed the expectations I, at the very least, had for it, at least by a small margin. Whether or not Wisconsin can continue to live up to it, I'm not totally sure, because I do think the offensive line is going to be a big problem, and how Wisconsin stands up against more talented defensive fronts could really blow up the season. But I'm definitely a little bit higher today on Wisconsin than I was about a week ago. I don't think that means that this is a team that can shock the world and, go undefeated in October, for example, or something like that. But given that there were some real growing pains across college football on Saturday, Alabama does not look like you're walking into the Death Star in Tuscaloosa. It doesn't. But there's something there for Wisconsin, and something to continue to watch against another lesser opponent, a lesser opponent in Middle Tennessee. So I think Wisconsin should be successful. And if you want to be successful in you going to see Middle Tennessee, reminder, you got a giveaway, 2 tickets given back to you all who helped us pass 1,000 subscribers on this page, celebrating our first month here of Talkin Badgers. If you want to win those tickets, 2 ways to win. The official contest rules are in the show description. If you are listening to the podcast, head over to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@TalkinBadgers. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on the video, comment your favorite game day tradition. You get a bonus entry by heading to the website formerly known as Twitter. Go to X, find us at Talkin Badgers. Go to the pinned tweet, retweet that, follow us, and tag someone in the comments who you want to take to this game on Saturday inside Camp Randall Stadium. That giveaway, you got to be entered by Thursday morning at 8 a.m. Central Time. Then we will announce the winner, and you got to get back to us within 24 hours. We're gonna try to find you, but you got to get back to us. You got to make sure that we can contact you and get these tickets into your hands. Should be a fun game. Very excited to do this giveaway with you all for Talkin Badgers, powered by BadgerNotes.com. I've been Kendrick Stumbers. You can follow the podcast at Talkin Badgers, youtube.com/@TalkinBadgers. You can follow me on the website formerly known as Twitter at Kendrick Stumbers. Until we talk to you all again tomorrow, after dark tomorrow, live, 8:30 p.m. should be a barn burner after the season opener. I know the guys got thoughts on Wisconsin.